You're listening to Journey for Truth with internationally known medium, Tai Yi practitioner, and radio host Tammy Urbanic.
Hello and welcome to Journey for Truth on iHeartRadio and YouTube. I'm Tammy Urbanic, your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. Journey for Truth is always on demand and with many new episodes. On my website, empowermentthroughhealing.org, you will see a life energy flow Tai Yi treatment titled Stress of Death. This treatment is specifically for those who have or are suffering from PTSD. They've had some sort of trauma in their life. This treatment can assist in beginning to alleviate those symptoms along with therapy and other measures that a person is taking. It's a powerful treatment, 2 parts. Stress of Death on my website, empowermentthroughhealing.org. Also on Amazon.com, you can find a book titled The Joy of Self-Healing, which was inspired by Hoska Harrison and Jonah in their work in helping others to heal. It's a wonderful book, fascinating read, easy read, and it's just full of different recipes in healing many areas of your life. I highly recommend it. The Joy of Self-Healing on Amazon.com. My guest this week is Dr. Kathy L. Gruver. She has a PhD in natural health and has studied many hours to learn about optimal health in order to educate others, and I'm sure to improve her own life as well. Kathy, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Tammy. I appreciate it.
It's wonderful to have you here. And what led you to learn about health and wellness?
Yeah, it was a long journey. In fact, I've told many people, I think I was just following the breadcrumbs. I never set out to do this kind of work. A couple things transpired. I lost my mom really young. I was only 18 when she died of cancer. And a lot of people want to say, oh, well, of course you're a healer. You lost your mom young. And I go, yeah, but it wasn't that direct.
Right.
I was always interested in alternatives. And even as a kid, I thought, why are there no alternatives for my mom? Why are they not trying acupuncture or hypnotherapy or massage? Or it just wasn't an option in Pittsburgh in the 80s, and that was one of the things that launched me. I was always interested in massage. I very accidentally apprenticed when I was in college and sort of built from there. So I found I was good at it. I had an interest in it, and I really so enjoyed not only gathering the knowledge, but also helping people. So it sort of built upon itself. I got my master's and PhD and started writing and doing more and more research, realizing that my clients wanted really a health practitioner, not just someone to put their elbow in the muscle that hurt. So it just sort of accumulated from there, and I don't know where it's going to lead. It's really exciting. I keep wanting to learn. Every time a course comes in the mail, my husband goes, "Oh my God, what are you learning now?" And I'm like, more stuff to help people. So yeah, it's been this just amazing building upon itself to get me where I am. And the more I know, the more I can help people, and that's my objective. So it's a nice place to be.
That's fantastic. And I know a lot of people are really searching for that alternative health. And in many communities, that word alternative is, a dirty word, a bad word, an uneducated word, which I completely disagree with. I think it's just a way of finding another route, another method, another way of healing something that perhaps traditional medicine is not exploring or addressing effectively. So that leads me to my next question. Let's really dive into this. It does appear to be a conflict between traditional medicine, conventional rather, and natural health or alternative health. What do you see in this area in terms of conflict?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a change. I think we're starting to see both sides come together, and it's sort of funny because people, see what I do and they read my books and they go, "Oh, you must be totally anti-doctors," or "You probably never have surgery." It's like, no. The point is to meld them. The point is to bring those things together, because I think one without the other, I think you're gypping yourself. I really think we need to combine those things. And I have clients who are suffering from cancer, and I say, let's explore some alternatives, not to change out what your Western medicine practitioner is doing, but to add to that, to supplement that, to enhance that. And maybe it's simply herbs to help your chemotherapy or acupuncture to help you sleep better. There are always things that complementary alternative medicine or integrative medicine can bring to that. And I think people who do one and completely negate the other, I think they're really missing an important part of it. I had my thyroid out, and I'm really happy we had that surgery. So now I have to take thyroid every day. I'm happy that my dad had his heart surgery and that now he has to, that he can inject his insulin every day. But I also see natural things that can can add to that. So to me, combining those two things is just the best option. And it kind of saddens me that we're still in a state where people are negating each other. It's like, let's all work together. We all want the same outcome, which is people being healthier. And I think we're getting, I think we're moving in that direction.
I completely agree. I see a lot of it on social media, where people will make comments on different articles, whether it's about conventional medicine or alternative medicine. And there are very large discrepancies between people's opinions. Only alternative medicine or only seeing a medical doctor. And I completely agree with you that there needs to be that searching of how those two can come together in a balanced way. I've heard people say, well, my doctor says I need to take an antibiotic and I don't want to. Well, sometimes you might need to take an antibiotic to address an issue. Now, do you want to take antibiotics all the time? No, absolutely not. And I see many doctors will say the same thing. You know, if you take too many antibiotics, then it develops into an issue. Or you'll have people say, well, I'm not exploring alternative health because it's woo-woo, it's witchcraft, it's whatever. I've heard these judgments, read these judgments, and it's ridiculous. I mean, how is changing your diet woo-woo and witchcraft? Or get a massage or see an acupuncturist. It is pretty crazy out there in terms of the judgment, and I really like your take on that to really bring those into a balance. Now, the FDA, kind of going more into health, the FDA does state that GMOs are perfectly safe for human and animal consumption. I know a lot of people really, FDA, if they say it's safe, then it must be safe. I have a tendency to disagree with that. But what have you learned about genetically modified foods?
Yeah, I've done so much research on that. I'm very practical. I'm very pragmatic. I'm very rational and reasonable when it comes to stuff like this. And so I've looked at all the issues. And it's in the FDA's best interest to say it's perfectly safe. There are a lot of huge corporations, Monsanto, or Voldemort, as we like to call them, who it's in their best interest. They're making so much money from genetically modifying things. And here's my take on it. I've said this to people who want to debate me, and I've debated some of the top GMO defenders. They can't argue with me on this one. If you show me a GMO that's increasing the vitamins, increasing the nutrition, actually benefiting us from some sort of vitamin, mineral, nutritional issue, that's awesome. If you GMO me some broccoli that gives me all of the nutrition I need for a week, that's awesome. But what they're using GMOs for right now, in their current state, is to spray with more and more pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. That's what they're using it for. That's not benefiting us. You can maybe say that GMOs are safe. However, I know pesticides aren't. There's plenty of studies that show what the horrible effects on our children, on our brains, on our environment of the pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides are. If they show me a crop that's increasing the vitamin and nutritional value for us, I might go, yeah, okay, we need that. They're not giving that to us right now. And then they throw up, what about golden rice, or was it yellow rice?
Something like that. That's
not approved yet. And even the head of the World Health Organization said, if you're going to do that, why don't you take a vitamin A pill? So they're messing with things that I believe shouldn't be messed with. I think it's detrimental to our environment. I think it's detrimental to our health. I had several people contact me whose children were suffering from horrible, horrible allergies. And when they pull their kids off of anything that was GMO, the allergies went away.
Interesting.
So I'm seeing evidence that it is a problem. And the issue is, this is hard to prove. We're also biologically individual. So, just looking at the wheat issue, I can eat wheat and I'm perfectly fine. A client of mine eats wheat or gluten and it sparks all these other issues. We're so biologically individual. So to say GMOs are safe, well, they're safe for who? Are they safe for the premenopausal woman who's allergic to wheat? Are they safe for the 170-pound guy who's a vegan? Are they safe? It's hard to prove. But I think right now we're the largest genetically... we're a big genetic study right now, and I didn't sign up for that.
Exactly.
So it kind of worries me that they're just sort of willy-nilly throwing this stuff out there and saying, yeah, it's safe. We don't know that it is. I would rather err on the side of safety and say, prove it. And I don't think we have that yet.
It seems to me that those who state that it's safe are the companies who are creating the genetically modified organisms. So that would be me saying, well, the IRS, I'm going to only pay you $500 because that's what I think I should pay. And you just need to accept it. And it seems like they're coming from that perspective of, we can make a whole lot of money off of this, so we're going to say it's safe, and then it is. And then people can fact check, and they can look at how many people who have worked for Monsanto now work in the FDA, and allowing these laws to pass. And they can also research how many countries have banned GMOs, at least for now, before they become bullied perhaps in the future. So it is, I think it's safe to say that GMOs are not perfectly safe, and that there needs to be more research individually, because Monsanto and the companies who create GMOs have already done their research. They already know exactly what's going on. I just don't think they're disclosing it in a way that has integrity, which is very unfortunate, because as you stated, many children, many people are suffering because, number one, they may not know about GMOs so much. A lot of people still don't. There needs to be that individual research, and to make that choice on your own, and perhaps garden. Learn how to make your own garden.
Exactly. And I planted a bunch of stuff today. I did. One of the things that's so interesting, and I have found this across the board, is when I talk to my clients and I talk to my family or my friends, or I'm doing a lecture and I say, GMOs are bad. Okay, you can say that, but I really think we need to go further with that. And being here in California, we had Prop whatever it was 2 years back trying to label GMOs. It failed by a little bit because I think things weren't explained properly. And I've noticed when you just simply say to somebody, you should, the conversation ends.
Yes.
It's not a conversation at that point. And I was doing a lecture for a really highly educated group of people, and I was talking about things to add and subtract from your diet. And one of the things I said was, let's cut out GMOs. And this guy raised his hand and he said, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. What are GMOs? Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, corn, wheat, soy are the most common. And he goes, no, what are GMOs? And he seriously didn't know that term. Now, I'm so into that, you're into that, your listeners are they're probably going, of course we know what a GMO is. This guy had no idea. And when I asked this highly educated group of people, how many people did not know what GMO stood for? Probably 40% raised their hand.
Wow.
So I was stunned. I truly was stunned. So I think it's great for us to say GMOs are bad, but why? And what are they? And how is that affecting us? I think that's going to help our campaign so much better by explaining to people why it's bad. That's like saying to a kid, you can't do that. And they say, why? And we say, because I said so.
Right, exactly. That didn't work for me.
It doesn't fly. So I think I'm so happy we're having this conversation, but I think we need to really tell people what that means and what it's about and why we don't support these things. So I just wanted to throw, it's an aside, but I wanted to throw that out there.
It's a very, very good point. I think that when I agree with you, when people come across with the statement of, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't do that, this is bad, this is good, there needs to be, rather than just this blanket judgment, there needs to be the why, explaining to someone how it might affect your own genetics, how the toxicity of the pesticides are going to impact your immune system, how it can have these long-term effects that are not being talked about right now because people are more into quick-term results. Well, if I eat genetically modified food, I didn't explode, so I must be fine. Right. And I think, people don't think that literally, but they're in that mentality of, I'm fine. I've been eating GMOs and I'm fine. But if there's this deeper looking into it, well, perhaps there's a low-level depression. Perhaps your kidneys are not functioning at the way that they could for optimal health. Perhaps you have some cancer developing that you don't know about. Mm-hmm. So when people say, I'm fine, I always, question that a little bit if they haven't really investigated what they're truly eating and they just take it for granted that it's safe because our government stated so.
Right. Yep. I agree.
Now, you wrote an article on how to prevent cancer. What are some key points that people need to hear?
Yeah, I think watching your diet is so important. Cancer is so complicated, and I hear people every once in a while say, I can't wait till they cure cancer, to which, and I don't mean this to sound flip, but, well, whose cancer? Which cancer? That's like asking someone, what's your favorite kiss? Well, how do you pick that? I mean, it's such a vague thing. There's so many reasons people get cancer. Could it be genetic? Yes. Is it environmental? Yes. Is it stress? Yes. Is it sometimes just plain dumb luck? It really seems to be. I think watching those things, trying to stay in the cleanest environment possible, and whether it's, herbicides, whether you grew up near a farm where they were spraying pesticides and now that's affecting you, whether it's, I have a client who's 30 who's dealing with mesothelioma because his father did asbestos abatement. Well, who would think about that this many years later? There's so many things that contribute to that, but I really think doing the best we can to control what we can, which is now, in this current place, what are we putting into our mouth? What are we putting in our environment? What are we putting in our minds? And trying to stay as positive as we can, trying to deal with our stress response the best we can, eating the best food, drinking the best clean water, keeping our environments as safe as we can. And now we can go crazy with this and take it to extremes, but I really think making those three choices, we can't control our genetics, we can't control those things outside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. We can control choices of those three things. And I think that's the best thing we can do. Mind, food, and environment.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And the whole mind part, I remember when you were talking about that, reading a post on Facebook some months ago, and it was a story about this husband and wife, and they were an older couple, and the wife was very diligent with her health. She covered her skin when she went out into the sun. She ate the best foods. She took care of herself, but she also at the same time didn't allow herself to have fun. She didn't allow herself to really live and enjoy her life, while her husband had this mentality of live and let live. He had his drink, he had his smoke, he was out in the sun, but he enjoyed himself. And she developed cancer and all of these health issues. And exactly your point, there's the health, taking care of what you put into your body. There is the mind, taking care of what you put in your mind, how you live your life. Are you surviving or are you living? Are you thriving? Are you seeking out your purpose? Are you truly enjoying your life? Or is it simply a matter of, let me pay my bills. Let me go to work, earn my paycheck, and pay my bills. So it is that whole concept, and that is wonderful. And as a practitioner, as you were stating, I think that's what a lot of people want to hear, that there's this whole concept to consider, not just one thing. Now, many women and men are being told that they have osteoporosis or are developing osteoporosis. How can we prevent that? And then also, how can people treat it if they have it?
I think that's a long-term treatment. I think that starts when we're really young, and it comes with, having a good diet. For young girls, soda, frankly, is one of the worst things that we can do. The phosphates in especially the dark sodas leach calcium from the bones. So if you're in your teens and you're building bone, that's a really bad thing for you. And if you're of that age where you're starting to deal with osteoporosis or osteopenia, drinking those sodas is really bad. There's no good reason to drink soda. I recommend everyone just cut those out. That's when I hear people in the audience going, because they like I get it, I don't get it. Stop it, please. Doing that strength exercise, doing weights and making sure you're exercising, getting good calcium. I think some people can overdo it on the calcium, and then you start to get bone spurs, you start to get calcium deposits in your feet and your kidneys, things like that. I think just a well-rounded diet, making sure you're exercising, drinking enough water, and cutting out a lot of those artificial things like the soda. For a lot of people, it's just genetic. It really is. You have a very petite woman with very thin bones. It might be something that is in your future. So in which case, do the best you can to stave that off. Again, with the exercise, the food, taking some really good high quality supplements, and hopefully you can stave it off as long as possible. I have yet to find a prescription, in my experience, that works well. I've had a lot of clients be put on prescriptions for osteoporosis, and they tend to backfire. They tend to cause more problems with the bones. Ouch. So I don't know that they've mastered that yet. So to me, again, anything you can do proactively in a natural way to stave that off is going to be your best choice.
Now, also, people, when they take calcium, they need to take it with magnesium, is my understanding, because the magnesium helps you absorb the calcium effectively so that you don't have other areas of the body absorbing the calcium. You want your bones to absorb it.
Absolutely. And, we want things like vitamin D. That's incredibly important.
Right.
Strontium is really important. Silica is really important. We hear so much about calcium. Actually, magnesium is my favorite mineral. I'm a huge fan of magnesium. So I think we need all of that stuff. And frankly, I have a really good diet. I have clients that have really good diets. We're just not getting enough of what we need. I'm all about getting a high quality vitamin and mineral supplement. Not something that is the sort of generic brand at your big box store, which is a 6-month supply for $1.99. That's not a high quality. You need to spend a little bit of money on that. And, if you're going to spend $3 a day on a latte, you could spend $3 a day on your vitamins and minerals.
Good analogy.
It's really important that we do that. So I highly recommend people supplement whatever they need. And sometimes it's one or two things, and sometimes it's just a full spectrum of things. But we need to get those vitamins and minerals in there.
Absolutely. My daughter is 22 years old, and she's always coming to me seeking, nutritional advice. And when she was a teenager, she loved her Starbucks. She loved those horrible sugared drinks. She wasn't a huge soda drinker because we didn't drink soda. It was really never in the house, but she liked her Starbucks, and it took so long for me to convince her to get off of those sugared drinks. Regardless of whether it's a soda or a sugared coffee, it's still sugar, and it still has a lot of stuff that you don't need. And now she's on these different supplements, and it is so very important. At the age of 22, you want to start off right in your health instead of at the age of 45 or 50, realize you've just wasted 20 years where you could have been increasing your nutritional value in your foods and your supplements.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're 50 and you decide you want to start now, start.
Absolutely. Yes.
It would have been better if you started 20 years ago, but don't say, oh, shouldn't exercise now, I blew it. No. Please go exercise. Eat the good food, drink the good water. It's not too late.
Absolutely. Good point. Yes. Better to do it at 50 than 52 or 55, right?
Exactly.
Now, we live in a stress-filled world, and most people know that they need to lower their stress, or they might need to lower their stress, especially if it's chronic stress. What are some ways that people could do that?
Yeah, stress is one of those things that it's just there. Hans Selye, who is the father of modern stress and modern stress research, he even said the only way to avoid stress is to be dead. It's just there. I think one of the really important things to recognize is stress is not our problem. Because we can't control anything out there. We can't control the government. We can't control the election. We can't control what's in our food. Sometimes we can't control the traffic. We can't control my flight's delayed again. We can't control any of that. What we can control is our response to that. That we have power over. Because if we're trying to control those things outside of ourselves, it's simply going to drive us crazy. What is that old, give me the strength to change the things I can and recognize what I can't. That whole thing. That totally applies here. So I think doing things like mindfulness practices and affirmations, doing meditation, if that's something that you do. I teach a mini meditation, which is perfect for people who feel like they can't meditate. That would have been me a couple of years ago, a little type A. Don't tell me to sit on a pillow and still my brain and calm my body. I was terrible at it. But incorporating those things in my life, basically just cognitive restructuring of realizing I can't control those things out there. All I have power over is my response, my reaction to that. I think that is just the key of recognizing what we can control and then taking steps to do so.
Absolutely. We can only control our response. And I'm telling people in my work, I'm telling people that all the time as well, including my daughter. I'm telling her that. And my husband and anyone else who's having a difficult time in managing their response to their environment. It really creates a huge difference. And then also, like you stated, having different tools in your toolbox to deal with stress. Exercise. I love going outside and jogging or going to the gym, listening to loud music. Just something that's going to help you kind of move out of your head. When there have been a few times when my stress level just got really high, and there is this huge hike here where I live. It's called the Incline. You elevate 2,000 feet in about a little over a mile. It's an extreme hike, and I've done a handful of times. But when you go on a hike like that, all you can focus on is not dying. All you can focus on is breathing and not dying. You can't focus on anything else.
Right.
So, having those tools in your toolbox certainly help.
That's fabulous.
Now, are there ways that you've seen within your clients that negative stress that they're carrying that is affecting something in their life, that they're not connecting the dots, they're not making a connection?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad you asked that question, because being that I still do so much massage, that's a very physical modality. And people come to me and they say, my shoulder hurts, my low back hurts, my neck hurts. They don't often attribute that to anything mental. So when I say, hey, what's your stress level like? They don't equate that to stress equals what's happening in my body. And I have found throughout the years that there are really specific, these are the terms we use. Who's the pain in the neck? I can't stomach this. I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. I can't get a grip. I can't handle this. I fear taking the next step. The rug was pulled out from underneath me. I mean, we have dozens and dozens of these types of phrases, and I have seen so very clearly that this mental state leads to specific physical manifestation of that. Now, I'm not saying that our thoughts and our stress is creating illness. I would never tell somebody that they're creating their own problems. I have heard of doctors saying to a cancer patient, you did this to yourself. That is the worst thing you could ever say to somebody, and I don't believe that. However, I have seen mental states contribute to physical problems. It's the physical way of manifesting that. And the first time I saw that, it was a woman who had carpal tunnel-like syndrome. She didn't have it diagnosed, but she was having really bad hand and wrist pain. And every week I'd work on her and I'd work on her and work on her. It got better and better and better. And it wasn't lasting. It was driving me crazy because I'm like, what is the last step in fixing this woman's issue? And finally I said, tell me again when this hurts you. And she said, well, it hurts when I'm grabbing things and when I'm grasping things, like I can't hold my hairdryer and I can't pick up a bottle of wine, which I thought was horrible. I had to fix that. But I listened to those words she said, grab and grasp and grip. And I said, well, is there something you're holding on to too tightly? Is there something that you need to let go? And her eyes popped open and she looked at me and she said, I don't want to let my kids go. And I was stunned, not only that she had an answer, but that she had an answer that was so profound.
Right.
And it turned out that her brother had gone out after his 16th birthday. He just got his driver's license and he was killed in a car crash and he never came home. And her kids were now 15 and a half and 14 and a half and they wanted to go.
Right.
She couldn't let them. She was terrified that they were not going to come home. And I asked her if she had ever shared that with them, if she had told them, and she hadn't. They knew that she had a brother that died, but they didn't know how. And I said, why don't you share that with them? And she went home that night, and after dinner, she shared with her kids this story, and it made her feel a little bit better. And the kids now understood, if nothing else, why she was so overbearing. Mom's so crazy, she won't let us out. I'm thinking, God, at least tell them for that reason, so they don't think you're like, a crazy woman. And she came back the following week, and she said, my wrists feel better. Why don't we try 2 weeks for the massage? And then it became 3 weeks, and then it became once a month, and then I never saw her again. And I don't have a double-blind, placebo-controlled study to prove that this happened, but I have seen it time and time again with my clients and my family and my friends. I believe truly, had she not released that emotional aspect of that gripping too tightly, I don't know that her hands would have ever healed. Now, she had to do the massage, and she had to do the PT, and she had to adjust her desk, and she had to stretch, and she had to do all those physical things too. But I really think that last little bit of healing was that emotional, spiritual aspect of letting her kids go and sharing with them that emotion. And I have seen that just across the board with my clients, and it's been very profound. And when they see that last little bit, even if it's 10%, why would we not take that extra 10% of healing? It's there's no prescription, there's no side effects. You just do it,
Right.
and I've definitely seen that connection. Absolutely.
Well, that's an excellent story. I really love that story. And you just mentioned it, though. You stated that she had to make all of these physical changes. She's getting massage from you repeatedly, but she also had to make these physical changes. And it sounds like, from what you're describing, was all very temporary. The pain just continued to resume itself, but not until she addressed this mental and emotional issue that she was holding on to, a lot of fear that she was holding on to. I can certainly understand where she was coming from. No one wants to lose their child. I was constantly afraid of that when my daughter was a teenager and having a hard time. We'll just leave it at that. But, then she saw the change. Once she addressed that, then she saw the change. So what you were also stating, combining all of these, she already has that issue in the muscle. She's going to have to make these changes in order to accommodate the healing of that muscle, but then also that mental and emotional component is what sealed the deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Now, you have a new show coming out, right?
I do. It's called The Alternative Medicine Cabinet. It's actually funny. It's not a new show. We started filming it ages ago. It's just now coming back around. Anybody that knows Hollywood, it moves so slow. It's that hurry up and wait thing. So I'm really excited. We're back in post-production. We're editing my episodes, and we expect it to be on by the end of the year. And I'm so excited about that because it was that any day now. And I kept going, yeah, okay, when is that? 30 days. Okay, it's been 60. When is this happening? And it's finally happening. So I'm really excited about that. We cover all aspects of natural health. I host the show. Some I have with guests. Some is just me talking and being fun. And so it's on its way. I'm so thrilled. So thrilled.
Are you allowed to say what channel and those details yet?
It's going to start... I never know. It's going to start in Sedona and throughout Arizona, and that's going to expand nationally from there. So it'll be on things like Apple TV and Roku. Okay. And I know it's going to be local and regional in Arizona, but I don't know how it's going to go from there. I know it's going to be on those sort of internet TV-based shows. I don't know if it's going to make it to major cable or not. It started out that way and then changed. So I'm just happy to have it on the air anywhere. It was so much hard work, and it was it's messages I want to share with people. So even if it's people just in Arizona, I'm happy with that. I'm just happy that it's getting out there. So really thrilled about that. You caught it literally. I had a meeting on Friday, and it's going forward. So really excited.
Excellent. And your book, where can we purchase your book and find more information on you?
Yeah, absolutely. The best place is my website, which is thealternativeMedicineCabinet.com. All of my books are there, along with my massage DVD. You can sign up for my newsletter. It's free. It goes out like once every 2 months. And there's tons of free resources and everything there. So again, it's thealternativeMedicineCabinet.com. And check it out. It's the best way to reach me. And I can answer any questions you have, contact me, all that good stuff.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kathy, for being a guest on my show this week.
I appreciate it, Tammy. Thanks so much.
And thank you, listeners, for joining me here as well on Journey for Truth on iHeartRadio and YouTube. Until next time, have a fantastic week.